Katy Perry. The name used to evoke images of neon wigs, whipped cream bras, and hit songs that dominated summer playlists for a generation. She was the golden girl of pop music in the late 2000s and early 2010s, a Technicolor dreamer who made bubblegum hooks into diamond-certified hits. She solidified her status as a pop titan by matching Michael Jackson's record of 5 #1 singles from a single album with Teenage Dream. With a giant animatronic lion and Left Shark taking center stage, her 2015 Super Bowl halftime show was the most watched in history. She appeared on your TV, radio, and iPhone screen with each rash iTunes download. The air feels different today though. The headlines are harsh, the charts are quiet, and the glitter has gone. What took place? What caused the pop monarch to fall so quickly and far? This is more than just a tale of failures and poor publicity. Explore the hidden cracks, the unseen struggles, and the moments no one talks about that led to her spectacular downfall. It's a story of mistakes, controversies, and a world that changed more quickly than she could keep up with. Let's rewind to the beginning, back when Katy Perry wasn't Katy Perry, but Catherine Elizabeth Hudson, a Santa Barbara, California preacher's daughter. Katy Hudson was born on October 25, 1984, to Pentecostal pastors Keith and Mary Hudson. She was raised in a strict Christian environment with no secular music allowed and gospel hymns as her background music. She dreamed of a life outside the pews as she sang in church, her voice strong and raw. After receiving her general educational development, she dropped out of high school at the age of 15, pursuing a career in music. In 2001, she released a gospel album under her real name. Before her label, Red Hill Records, filed for bankruptcy, Katy Hudson sold just 200 copies, making her a failure. Although it was a silent failure, it gave her a fire. She would not always be the good Christian girl. At the age of 17, she moved to Los Angeles, changed her name to Perry, her mother's maiden name, and entered the secular music industry. This was the first of many pivots, demonstrating her talent for reinventing herself while also suggesting that her identity was a work in progress, influenced more by ambition than sincerity. Katy Perry made her debut with One of the Boys in 2008. Provocative, catchy, and just edgy enough to take over radio without offending the mainstream, I Kissed a Girl was a cultural lightning bolt. Although the song's light-hearted portrayal of bisexuality sparked controversy, some held it as empowering while others called it a cheap stereotype. It was effective. With her cheeky humor and pin-up style, Katy became the new it girl in pop after it reached #1. She wasn't merely singing, she was acting out a character that was charismatic, cartoonish, and bombshell. Teenage Dream, 2010, her follow-up, was a pop perfection masterclass. Songs like Firework, California Girls, and Last Friday Night were more than just songs. They were cultural events that served as the background music for road trips, proms, and parties. Katy created anthems that felt both universal and distinctively her own, thanks to the slick beats of producer Dr. Luke and the brilliant songwriting of Max Martin. She was the epitome of escape, offering sugar-coated fantasies to a post-recession society in dire need of happiness. Her personal life, her lavish 2010 Indian wedding to comedian Russell Brand, kept her in the tabloids, and her concerts sold out and her music videos received millions of views. It appeared that she could not be touched. However, small, undetectable cracks were already beginning to appear. The fun, eccentric girl who didn't take herself too seriously was the foundation of Katy's persona. She was the pin-up who laughed at her own ridiculousness, the cheerleader who burped. Despite its charm, this shtick was a tightrope. Pop stars change or die, and Katy's brand of campy excess was associated with a particular time period. The pre-streaming era, when radio and iTunes downloads were the norm and fans were hankering after spectacular spectacle. With songs like Raw and Dark Horse, Prism maintained her winning streak by 2013. However, there were indications that she was attempting to give her image more depth by focusing more on empowerment anthems. Although Raw was a feminist rallying cry, it lacked the raw edge of her previous work and felt calculating in its broad, inoffensive message. Nevertheless, Prism was a success, and she became a cultural force after her 2015 Super Bowl performance. Although she was at her best, things were changing around her. The first significant setback occurred during the 2016 US presidential election. Katy threw herself into the Hillary Clinton campaign, singing Rise at the Democratic National Convention and doing rallies. It was a risky but daring move. Taylor Swift and other pop stars remained silent out of concern for offending fans, but Katy leaned in because she thought her position could change things. The reaction to Trump's victory was immediate. Supporters, particularly in conservative communities, felt deceived by her candor. When compared to her chart-topping days, Rise did not perform well, peaking at number 11. The music itself fell out of step, and it wasn't just politics. Music consumption was changing as a result of streaming services like Spotify, which favored quiet, honest musicians like The Weeknd or Billie Eilish over Katy's flamboyant approach. Her wildly popular songs, which were once unstoppable, now seemed outdated in a society that is yearning for genuineness. Then, everything fell apart. In an attempt to establish herself as a legitimate artist with a message, Katy released Witness, an album she referred to as purposeful pop. She eschewed the candy-colored style, leaned toward political themes, and chopped her hair into a blonde pixie cut. Although the lead single, Chained to the Rhythm, criticized society's indifference, its message came across as overbearing, and the beat, although catchy, lacked the immediate enchantment of her previous singles. The release of the album was a complete failure. During the 4 days of her livestream that witnessed worldwide, Katy lived in a home where cameras followed her every step. During therapy sessions, she sobbed about her divorce from Russell Brand and her battles with celebrity. Although it was intended to convey vulnerability, it came across as desperate, a staged attempt to be relevant in a time when raw authenticity was prized. Critics criticized Witness as a mistake, while fans cringed. With singles like Swish Swish failing to make it into the top 10, the album swiftly fell from its #1 peak. Katy was actually flopping, not just faltering for the first time. Katy was falling apart backstage. She acknowledged in interviews that she struggled with depression and even considered suicide during this time. She felt lost, uncertain of who she was without the pop star mask, according to a close source. After learning of her divorce, she was shown crying in her 2012 documentary Part of Me, but she still went to a concert. She was known for her resilience, but by 2017, it was eroding. There were rumors of a breakdown after she reportedly passed out on stage during a performance of I Kissed a Girl and was dragged off by security. A strange Instagram video in which she compared her old black hair to Obama offended fans, and a comment ridiculing Britney Spears' 2007 meltdown felt cruel and out of character, which stoked rumors about her mental health. These weren't merely pergaffers, they were indications that a woman was having difficulty navigating a rapidly changing identity and career. Katy's private life was problematic. She was scarred by her 2011 divorce from Russell Brand, which was finalized in 2012. She later acknowledged that she was blindsided by Brand's text announcing the split and that it caused her to feel deeply insecure. She was unmarried by 2017 and struggling to maintain her relevance as she got closer to her mid-30s, a risky age for pop stars in a field that is fixated on youth. She turned back to the Christianity she had known as a child, but even that felt contradictory. She reportedly prayed late into the night in her tour bus, seeking wisdom, but she felt conflicted between her spiritual heritage and the secular world she had conquered, according to sources. Once a smooth fusion of humor and sex appeal, her public persona now felt like a costume she was unable to take off. Katy attempted to get back on her feet with Smile in 2020. She had a personal anchor because she was expecting their daughter Daisy and recently got engaged to actor Orlando Bloom. The album was supposed to be a return to her playful beginnings and a comeback. Though it peaked at number 15, the lead single, Never Really Over, was a bright spot, a catchy EDM pop song that alluded to her previous magic. The remainder of Smile was a mess, unmemorable songs, shoddy production, and a lack of unity. COVID didn't help either. The album faded quietly, and any chance of a proper tour was destroyed by the pandemic. Despite their support for her new role as a mother, fans weren't streaming, and critics referred to it as painfully mid. In an attempt to keep her relevant, Katy's team pushed her to serve as an American Idol judge. But her tenure was difficult. She faced backlash in 2023 after making a tone-deaf remark that shamed a 25-year-old competitor, Sarah Beth Lieber, for being a young mother. Bullying allegations flooded social media, and Katy's image as a kooky aunt began to irritate people. Katy was prepared to make her biggest move to date by 2024 with the album 143, which she hinted at as her triumphant comeback to pop supremacy. Despite his contentious past, she got back together with Dr. Luke, the producer of her biggest hits. Keisha filed a lawsuit against the Doctor in 2014, alleging emotional and sexual abuse. The case was settled out of court in 2023. Katy took a calculated chance by choosing to collaborate with him once more because she thought his Midas touch would help her career take a turn for the better. But the move had a disastrous backlash. Woman's World, the lead single, hit like a lead balloon despite being intended as a feminist anthem. The lyrics, such as "It's a woman's world and you're lucky to be living in it," felt dated and hollow to critics, who referred to it as pandering. It was ridiculed as desperate when Katy, dressed as Rosie the Riveter, screamed, "I'm Katy Perry," while stealing a ring light in the music video. Even worse, there was outrage over the Dr. Luke's connection. After Keisha posted a sarcastic tweet, fans accused her of being hypocritical on social media. Katy worked with a man who was accused of abuse, so how could she advocate for empowerment? The song swiftly disappeared after peaking at number 63 on the Billboard Hot 100. Lifetimes, the second single, was intended to save the day. It saw emotional resonance and was criticized as generic, with lyrics like, "Can you feel it? Do you believe it? I'm gonna love you to the end and repeat it," being criticized as being lazy. The song was inspired by her daughter Daisy. In 2024, when artists like Sabrina Carpenter and Charlie XCX were flourishing with new, clever pop songs, the production, which was once more by Dr. Luke, felt like a rehashing of mid-2010s pop, with a Metacritic score of 35, the lowest ever for a female artist. 143 made its debut to harsh reviews. Critics referred to songs like Gimme Gimme and Gorgeous as derivative because they sounded like rejected demos by other artists. The title of the album, which was a reference to the 90s pager code for "I love you," confused younger fans who didn't understand. In its first week, it sold a meager 40,000 units, but by the third week, it had fallen off the charts. With memes likening Katy to a defunct reality star struggling to stay relevant, social media was ruthless. Then, in April 2025, came the Blue Origin space mission. Alongside individuals like Gayle King and NASA scientist Aisha Bowe, Katy joined an all-female mission led by Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez. Although the 11-minute journey was widely criticized as a publicity stunt, it was promoted as a historic moment for women. Katy didn't support her argument. She advertised her Lifetimes tour during the flight, claiming that she wanted to make space and science glam and put the ass in astronaut. Social media erupted in accusations of inauthenticity and privilege after the remarks were ridiculed as tone deaf. Katy's brand was now associated with faux feminist failure, according to PR expert Eric Schiffer, who told the Daily Mail that unless she took a break, her career was in danger of going extinct. Following her 2024 endorsement of Kamala Harris, which conflicted with her cozying up to Bezos, a man criticized for his wealth and the labor practices, fans felt deceived. Her tour suffered from low ticket sales, and the backlash was so severe that brands withdrew. Katy Perry Play 2021-2023. Her residency in Las Vegas fueled the flames. According to sources who spoke to News Nation, it was a complete failure, costing resorts world millions because of the high expenses and poor turnout. Although Katy made between $750,000 and $900,000 per show, the spectacle, which was once her strength, seemed out of date. Audiences, who now yearned for the unvarnished intimacy of performers like Billie Eilish or the witty irony of Chappell Roan, were unimpressed by her campy antics, such as riding a gigantic toilet prop. Her 2012 Part of Me tour, during which she sobbed backstage but persevered, stood in sharp contrast to the residency's failure. Her tears at the 2024 MTV VMAs, where she won the Video Vanguard Award and performed a medley of hits, now felt like an appeal for relevance. She knew her new music wasn't connecting because she leaned heavily on teenage dream songs, barely reaching 143. What went wrong then? The simple solution is poor timing and music, but there's more to it than that. The foundation of Katy's career was a time when pop music was loud, escapist, and unapologetically commercial. The emergence of streaming by the middle of the decade changed consumer preferences in favor of niche, real artists. Whether it was through political pop or fake feminist anthems, Katy's attempts to fit in felt rushed. Fans viewed her collaboration with Dr. Luke as a betrayal of her empowerment narrative, and it was a fatal miscalculation. Her once endearingly eccentric persona now reads as outdated, a holdover from a world before TikTok and before Me Too. According to people close to her, she was caught off guard by the 143 backlash and spent nights in her LA home reading hateful comments and scrolling through "Why don't they get it?" she would whisper to her team. In actuality though, she didn't understand them. Despite her talent, Katy was unable to change course quickly enough, and the public preferred vulnerability over spectacle. This collapse has a more subdued human side. According to Katy's friends, she feels imprisoned by her prior achievements, fan expectations, and a business that eats up and then spits out celebrities. The stage still calls, even though she has given her all to motherhood and finds comfort in Daisy. However, every move seems to backfire, whether it's a new single or a space stunt. Her team encouraged her to persevere because they thought her celebrity could make up for the failures, but the statistics show otherwise. Her tour, which was supposed to be a worldwide comeback, saw half-empty arenas in some cities and 143 streams fell. The story of her total collapse was heightened by posts from 2025, such as those from @blessit612911, which linked to YouTube videos that broke down her fall. She was described as kitsch-loving and experimental in her 2022 Elle profile, but even that seems like a faraway memory. Is Katy going to get better? According to some, a Vegas residency or greatest hits tour centered around Teenage Dream might be successful, appealing to nostalgia. Others propose a sabbatical, an opportunity to get back in touch with her roots and write something unvarnished, perhaps even an album with a strong gospel influence that echoes her Katy Hudson days. However, time is running out. Pop is brutal, and at 40, Katy must contend with a youth-focused industry that has already moved on to Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter. There is no denying her legacy: 6 diamond singles, a Super Bowl record, and 1 billion streams. However, the Katy Perry of 2025 serves as a warning, a celebrity who rose too quickly and too high and was unable to adjust when the world changed. Her collapse is about a woman who is torn between her past self and her current self, struggling to remain relevant in a culture that has abandoned her. It is not just about music,